Okay, so this is a video to walk you through how to do the most recent assignments that I uploaded. So I'm in Canvas for our class right now, and I'm going to go to assignments, and I'm going to go to raster base sheet creation. Okay, so it says use the attached PDF to create a JPEG using snip. Invert the color of the JPEG using paint. Import it in Dynascape using the raster import tool. Rescale the image to the accurate scale. Trace the property line, house and garage, driveway, pool equipment, location, and the pool. Include a title block and all pertinent information, including a graphic scale and north arrow. Save as a PDF and submit. Okay, so what this really is I'm going to download the PDF. Okay, so I just clicked on it, and then I'm going to click on Show in Folder. I'm going to double click to select that and open it. Okay, and I do not need to fill out a form. And so what we see here is a 24 by 36 PDF that is from the pool builder. And so this is what the pool builder put together in order to create, or in order to get the pool permitted. Anyways, what our goal is to take the information here and turn it into a base sheet that we can use for the landscape design. So in the instructions here, we have use the attached PDF to create a JPEG using the snip. So ways to do this is one is in Adobe Acrobat. Okay, we can do edit and take a snapshot. Okay, and you see my cursor has like a plus sign that's blank in the middle with a little dot, right? So this is going to create a snapshot of whatever I click, drag, and take a picture of. Okay, so it says that it's been copied, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it into Paint. So this is just the Paint app, and then I'm going to do a paste. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in on this and let's see the quality. Okay, quality is not very good, right? So I'm going to zoom back out, and I'm going to minimize that, and I'm going to come back in here, still using the edit, take a snapshot tool. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to zoom in on this, and I'm going to zoom in. So this is a control scroll up. Okay, and what I'm doing is I've got this at like a 300%. Okay, and I'm going to, so this is a 300% zoom. So I'm going to take this snapshot in the same way, but at this higher resolution, so that I can hopefully get a clearer image. Okay, I want that north arrow. Okay, so what I did was I started zoomed in, and I got this whole snapshot. Okay, that gives me a couple things. It gives me the north arrow, it gives me the entire property. It also gives me a couple dimensions in here, okay, so that I can scale it once I bring it into Dynascape. Okay, so now I'm going to go back into Paint, and I'm going to delete what I had previously put in here. I'm going to undo that, and then I'm going to do a paste again. Okay, and now this came in much larger. Okay, so I'm using Control, scroll down to zoom out and zoom in. Okay, but the quality is just a lot greater. Right, so now I'm going to do a File, Save As, JPEG. Okay, and Andy help. So I'm going to go into, and I'm going to save this to my 329 folder and 2020, and I'm going to do a new folder that is raster base sheet, and I'm going to save this as Anna Andy base. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a select all. Okay, so select button, select all, and then I'm going to right click and I'm going to do a invert color. Okay, so this switched it from black writing on white background to white writing on black background. Okay, and we'll see once we get into Dynascape how that helps. And now I'm going to do a file save as JPEG. It's going to take me to the same spot. This is Anna Andy base. I'm going to do the same file name, but I'm just going to put invert at the end of it. Invert, end of it. Okay, so it's the exact same file. It's just sorry. It's the exact same file, exact same size. It's just inverted in color. Okay, so now I'm gonna close out of that, and then I'm gonna show you like the second way that we can take a. I'm not gonna show you a second way. I'll try this though. So the other way to like take any kind of snapshot is I write in snip, and I use the snipping tool app. Okay, and I'm going to click new, and then I'm going to take a snip of that. Okay, I'm going to do a file, save as. I'm going to bring it into the same thing. And a snip, and then edit. I'm going to close that now, and I'm going to open up Paint again. I'm going to see what the quality is. Okay, so I'm going to file, open, and I'm going to navigate to that file. There it is. And you can see like we don't have great resolution on it, but decent, right? Not as bad as the previous one. And that's just because you don't have any zooming ability in the snip tool. So I'm not going to use this one, but if you needed to use that, and we will use it in the next exercise, then that is another way to do it. Okay, so using the snip tool on Windows. Okay, so we have the JPEG snipped and the color inverted. So now we're going to go in and we're going to open a new file, or new drawing in Dynascape. I'm going to try 1/4 inch scale, 24 by 36, and see how it fits on the page. Okay, I'm going to do a file, save as, and I'm going to save this to my file. So go ahead and save it to your file. We're going to go to raster base sheet and raster base create, or whatever you want to call it, so you can remember. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into imaging, and then I'm going to click on insert a raster image logo or survey. Okay, and I'm going to navigate to that file, and I'm going to select the file, which is here, and I'm going to do Anna Andy base. Okay, and I'm just going to place it. Let's see. So let me try that again, slower. So navigate to the file. I'm going to select Anna Andy base. Remember, this is the one that we did from the snapshot on Adobe Acrobat. Okay, I'm going to turn inference. No, inference can be on, but I want to turn constraints off. Okay, so constraints none. And then I'm going to do a left click, and I'm going to create this window that's going to import this JPEG. Okay, and then another left click. Okay, so what I've got here is I've got this base image, okay, and I'm going to check a couple things. First, I'm going to check the scale, okay, and the best way to check scale is going to be off of the longest run that we can get here, and it does look like the longest one that I can find in here is 197 feet. Okay, and so what that's indicating is the east property line here. So from this corner to this corner is 197 feet. So I'm going to measure that distance first before I rescale this thing. And so I'm going to click there, and this is using that happy clown measuring tool. And I'm going to zoom in here and give it another click there, and it tells me that I'm at 121 feet. Okay, I see that down in this little screen down here. So 121 feet. It's supposed to be 197 feet. So what that tells me is I can't use this scale for this size of a property. Okay, because if this is 121 feet, if it's showing 121 feet as the measured distance, then if I scale it up to 197 feet, it's not going to fit, and I'll show you that. So here, in order to do that, I'm going to use the resize an existing raster image to active drawing scale. Okay, so I'm going to select that, and that process here. So here's the tool, and I'm going to click on it. It's going to show me a list of all the JPEGs or images that are in this drawing. And the only one that's in here is the only one that we've brought in, which is Anna Andy base. Okay, so I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to tell it's asking for a distance. Okay, it says select 2 locations to define the new raster scale. I'm going to put in 197. Okay, so 197 feet. And now I'm going to select the 2 locations. So I'm shift and scrolling up to zoom in. I'm going to click there. Okay, so that's right at the corner property line. And then I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to click here. Okay, now that rescales it. And so immediately what we can see is that this is indeed too large of a property to be able to fit onto a 24 by 36 inch sheet at 1/4 inch scale. So what I'm going to do to make my life simple is I'm just going to go in an environment. I'm going to go to drawing page, and I'm going to change the scale from 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch. And I'm going to click OK. So here we go. I'm going to go in. This has been resized, and I'm going to check and make sure that it's been resized correctly before I start drawing on it. And I'm going to click there using the measuring tool. 2 clicks to give me a measured distance. And I'm going to click here. And this is 196 feet, 11 and 25/32 of an inch. So pretty darn close to 197 feet. So I'm happy with that. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is, since I'm creating a base sheet, I'm going to want to try to get this base sheet like centered within my drawing space, because you can imagine, like, once we've come in here and we put a title block in here, and 24 by 36, 1 to an 1/8 inch scale. Okay. So if I put that title block in there, then I'm going to want this property kind of centered within this space. So the way that I'm going to do that, and there's probably a lot of ways to do this. This is the way I always use though. So I'm going to use the rectangle tool. I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to try and like zoom in as close to this corner of the JPEG image or the raster image as possible. Okay, so that's a click there. And my constraints are off, so give me a rectangle. And I'm going to give it a click in the lower right-hand corner. So there's a rectangle. And then I'm going to give myself the property outline. Okay, and this is just kind of rough. Okay, I'm not that concerned with getting this one perfect. Okay, so there's two rectangles. Now, what this does is it allows me to select, so I'm going to move these. Okay, I've got the actual size of the JPEG or the raster image itself, and then what I want in the center. So I'm going to use this move or copy tool. I'm going to turn copy off, and I'm going to select these two rectangles that I just drew. And now I'm going to move those rectangles so that the property itself sits within the space, in the center of the drawing sheet or the plan sheet. Okay. So now that just gave me a guideline so that I can move this raster image. And now it says move and resize an existing raster image. Okay, so I'm using this tool right here, move and resize an existing raster image. I'm going to select it. Again, it's the only JPEG in here, or raster image in here. So I selected that. Now it's telling me select the bounding area of the raster. So the bounding area, I'm going to tell it, is the same as that outer rectangle that we drew around the raster image. And so that's going to give it like a pretty exact spot to go. Okay. So now, since I just did that, I do want to delete these, and I want to double check my distance. Okay. So I'm going to use the measuring tool again, and I'm going to click here. I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to click here. And that gives me, again, 196 feet, 11 and 5/32 of an inch. So I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so now what we need to do is we've got inverted color. We've got imported into Dynascape using the raster import tool, rescale the image to the accurate scale. So we did that. Let's see, trace the property line, house and garage, driveway, pool equipment location, and the pool. Okay, so let's trace the property line first. So I'm going to go into Dynascape tab. I'm going to go to select, and I'm going to scroll mine up to property. And I'm just going to go through here and check and make sure that all my other selections are by layer. Right? So I'm selecting the style, it's by layer. I'm selecting the weight, okay, the line weight, it's by layer, and then the color is by layer. Now, the reason I just did that is so that once I start drawing, I'm not drawing anything funky if I've previously been drawing in a different drawing using kind of an altered line style or weight or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and try and, since this looks like perfectly rectangular, I'm going to go ahead and try and just draw a rectangle for the property line. Okay. So I'm going to get as close to the center of that property line indicator as possible, give it a click and scroll out. And then I'm going to zoom into the lower right-hand corner of this property as close as possible, give it a click, and there's my, oh good, urban renewal. Tie-dye's back in apparently, huh? So there we have it, right? There's our property line. Now, this is, this works decent, right? Everything looks pretty good. The next thing we need to outline is the, let's do the pool next, huh? So I'm going to zoom in. This is showing me the pool and pool coping. Okay, so the pool line, I'm going to use a porch step line to do it. And I'm going to do a rectangle again because it's pretty rectangular. Okay, so I'm going to give it a click and a click. And you know, the challenge here is that I'm having a hard time seeing what I've done. Sort of see, oh, hey, Governor. Oh, good. I can't wait to see that. Where was I? Okay, so I can see my property line pretty well, but I'm having a hard time seeing like the line that I drew in here, tracing the pool line. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into imaging, and this is why we took an invert. Okay, and I'm going to go into display the drawing raster list, double click to edit. You actually only need to single click. So I'm going to go into file here, right? It shows me all the JPEGs that are in here. And this one, Andy Base, is the only one that's in here still. And I'm going to go to file on this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a different file. Double click on that. And that just tells it to use a different file. I'm going to click OK. And that gives us our inverted JPEG. Okay, so to me, this is a little bit easier to see and work with. And it's a little bit more like what I'm used to working with, that colored or white drawing lines on a black background. So, oh, I blew it. I blew it, didn't I? I did. I blew it on the property line. Okay, so let's fix that. What I did was I drew this rectangle in all the way over here, but the property line really starts right here, down to here, out to here, up to here. So I'm just going to get rid of that. And then I'm going to use it again. I'm going to go into Dynascape tab, and I'm going to select the property line tool. And I'm going to zoom in right there, give it a click. And then I'm going to zoom in right there. Okay, and so there's my true property line. Sorry about that. Mistakes happen. Okay, so now I'm going to offset this rectangle for the pool that I had done a couple minutes ago. And I'm going to offset it by 1 foot. And usually that does it. Usually pool copings or bond beams on pools are 12 inches. That looks pretty good. I'm going to hit delete, undo that. I think 13 inches is going to be magical. Oh, man, that's perfect. Okay, so that's good. I've got my pool traced. What do we need to do next? Property line, house, garage, driveway, pool equipment, location, and the pool. I'm kind of going out of order here, but here's pool equipment. Okay, and I'm going to keep it on porch step. And here is my pool equipment. I'm just going to do this whole area. Again, rectangle, keep it easy. Now for the driveway, on the driveway, I can do another rectangle. I'll switch to drive road, and I'll get that in here as a rectangle again. Okay, and then finally, I have to do the house and the garage. Whoops. So for house and garage, I'm going to use the building tool. I'm going to remember that the building tool, we're not going to give it like, we don't know where the doors, except for this one here. Right? We don't really know where the doors or windows are or anything. But I'm going to put in that I'm going to go counterclockwise. And it says a close outline. I'm not going to, yeah, I want to close the outline. What else do I want to do? Settings. Window selections filled, door sections filled, default, building, base. Something else I can do here. Well, I'm just going to start here, okay, because that will get me going straight. And it'll get me right along the driveway as well. So I'm going to turn my constraints to polar, and then I'm just tracing this. Okay. So you can see I'm just tracing woo. Okay, I'm tracing this. Okay, and I'm using that outside line. Oh, yeah, because I just did up here. I know. All right, I've got constraints on, so it's just tagging me onto it. I'm not trying to get there like exact. I just can see where my line is going. If I try and get in there exact, it'll do that weird like angled thing, right? And I don't want to do that. Okay, and so it's closing me. I have close outline on, so I don't have to try to get exact. It looks like I'm in pretty good shape. All I really have to do now is right click. Okay, I got a little jump there, but I'm not going to cry about it. Okay, so I'm in good shape. I've got my garage, the house, driveway, pool equipment pad. Might as well get in these 2 oak trees as well. So figures, trees, no shade. And I'm going to go for like an 18-foot shade tree on this, in the middle of that, and I'm going to go relatively big on it. And then I'm going to use the same thing. Constraint off, none. I'm using the mover copy tool with copy on. And I'm going to get it right over that. Now, one thing that these figures aren't indicating are the actual like girth of that trunk. And unless you've been to this site, you won't really know how big and girthy those trunks are, but they are. So I'm just going to put something in here that'll just kind of indicate the girth of that trunk. Okay, which is important to know when you're designing. Okay. Last thing is I need north arrow. We can see north is going this way, so I'm going to go into figures again, and I'm going to go down to accessories, and I'm going to use a north arrow, set it in the center. That's a left click. Now I'm rotating it to the direction it should be. That's another left click, and then I'm going to right click because I have it going the right direction. Okay. It also said I needed a graphic scale, so maybe actually I'm just going to take this using the mover copy tool, copy off, and I'm going to put that north arrow going that direction, and then I'm going to go in and grab a scale bar, and I'm going to put it in here. And then what else can I do? I'm going to go into title text, edit title block text. Okay, project name is Anna Candy, and my scale is 1 inch equals 8 feet 0 inches, and the date is 04.14.2020, and I'm click OK. So I've got all my info in here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a file save. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into imaging. I'm going to go to this tool, which is display the drawing raster list. Double click to edit. You just need to click it once. I'm going to turn visibility of this off. Okay, so that's going to turn the visibility of the raster image off. It's still going to be there, just you can't see it. So you can turn it off and on as needed. Click OK. And now what I've got is a base sheet that I can work off of. right? So now I can design the landscape. Somebody else put this base sheet together for the pool, but I need the specific elements and that I need to design off of. We'll let the pool people build the pool and the pool equipment, but we can start designing this. Okay, so the point of this exercise was to make sure that we can import PDFs or JPEGs or images from somewhere else or some other provider and get them in quickly so that we can create a base sheet that we can design off of. So I'm going to do a file save and a file print. So this let's try to save as Adobe PDF, and I'm going to navigate to and port, and I need to go to whoops 4329 and 2020. So you're going to navigate to whatever you got there. And I'm going to put in raster base. And I've got an ArcD sheet size, landscape, monochrome, output quality medium, and I'm going to click OK. Okay, so there's our base sheet. We can start designing from there.